We'll study about resolution of vectors. So this is perhaps the most important topic so far of this lecture. We will study about unit vectors in this section, and unit vectors बहुत बेसी important है. When you break down a vector into its unit vectors, that's the whole essence of vectors as a mathematical tool. So we'll study about unit vectors. So let me consider a plane, a xy plane, jot O is a vector and A vector is OA vector, and A2 alpha angle बनाया से with the x-axis and beta angle बनाया से with the y-axis. So by triangular additional rule, this, if we take OB and OC, we are taking the parallelogram law of addition. So OB and OC जो दुटा vector है, O is the resultant. So O is nothing but summation of OB plus OC. Okay. Now what we will do is that we will try to break OB and OC, just as we did in the previous sections when we were trying to find out the magnitude. So OB can be written as, this is A, the OB can be written as A cos alpha, and OC can be written as A cos beta, since this angle is beta. Okay, so now comes the concept of unit vectors. So when we write OA and OC, these are just magnitudes, right? This is just the magnitude of this length is A cos alpha and this length is A cos beta. Since we're giving it a vector sign, so it has to be vector quantity. So we need some vector which will give direction to this length. It will tell us which direction is it moving, but at the same time we cannot add or multiply something which will change the magnitude, right? So we have to find something which whose magnitude is equal to 1, because if we multiply here it won't change, and also it should tell us about the direction. So now comes the concept of unit vectors. Okay, so we are assigning unit vectors as I, J, K. These are our unit vectors. So what unit vector I tells us is that it gives us the direction of the x-axis. So towards x-axis, if something is moving, we assign it with a unit vector I. If it is something moving in the y-axis, we assign it with the unit vector J. And if it is moving in the z-axis, so z-axis will come out of the plane, so we are assigning with unit vector K. So OB is in towards x direction, so we write A cos alpha I cap. We say it as cap because we're making it wear a cap over I, so it's a cap, I cap. And A cos beta towards y direction, so we're writing it as J cap. Okay, so now we resolve OA. We write OA as A cos alpha I cap plus A cos beta J cap. Okay, and OA, we know what OA is. OA is nothing but the vector we found out. So this is how we resolved a vector into its unit vector. So this is resolution of vectors. So we found out that in xy plane we resolved a vector into its components as A cos alpha I cap plus A cos beta J cap, where A cos alpha and A cos beta were the magnitude, and I cap and J cap were the directional unit vectors. So in xy plane, if we take in xyz plane, so in xyz plane there will be another angle which will it make with the z axis. So let that angle be gamma. So here we had angles made with x and y as alpha and beta. So now we're taking a z axis, so the angles will be alpha, beta, and let's say gamma. So now when you resolve, it will be the same. The first two parts will be exactly the same, cos beta j cap. Just we'll add the z axis component, so it will be S A cos gamma k cap. So we studied in the last just a few minutes back that for z axis the unit vector was k cap, and similarly for x and y it was I cap and j cap. So we just adjusting it along with it so that we get to know the direction. So this is resolution of vector in 3 dimension. This is resolution of vector in 2 dimension. Now just to quickly recap over what we've studied, when we write something of this sort, then this one, as we said, the value is known as the component. So we get a cos alpha is the component of a along x-axis, right? So this was something like this, we're getting like this, and this was a cos alpha. So this is the part we're taking in x-axis, so hence it's component of a along x-axis. Similarly, a cos, if this is beta, a cos beta will be nothing but component of a along y-axis, and similarly a cos gamma will be component of a along z-axis. Okay, this is pretty basic. Now talking about I, j and k, these are unit vectors. Unit, what do we mean by unit? Unity is 1. So magnitude of these is equal to 1. They just tell us about the direction. So I cap means x-axis, j cap means y-axis, and k cap means z-axis. So this is the whole crux of unit vector and resolution of vectors.